Yo, what is going on everyone? Welcome back to a brand new Destiny video. Guiding Light here. So today the weekly featured raid has finally changed and it is the Wrath of the Machine. Now although the Vault of Glass and Crota's End are seen as some of the classic raids in Destiny, the Wrath of the Machine has always been my favorite, so I immediately wanted to hop on to the Wrath of the Machine as soon as reset hit and run these raids. So I managed to get a few of them out of the way this morning, and so I wanted to highlight some of the rewards that I actually got while doing this. So right off the bat, in the first challenge that we completed, I ended up getting the Chaos Dogma Adept. Now this weapon has always been great in the raids, but I don't really think it's all that great in PvP. I've used it here and there before it was Adept, but I didn't really like it then. So I already deleted my legendary version, and I'm going to keep that just for the raids and occasional PvE events, but I probably won't use that in trials all that often. I also ended up getting a leg piece. Now unfortunately it wasn't the one that I can actually add any of the ornaments to, so I ended up scrapping the lower level one, just keeping the one that I just got, which is 400 light, and I'm going to keep that and save it until I end up getting the other set of legs that you can actually put the ornament on. And finally I also got a sidearm to drop, but I already had one back from the other time that I ran the raid, so I ended up just dismantling that one as well. Now further along in that very same raid, with the Axis challenge complete, we ended up getting a few more drops. Now this challenge was actually pretty simple, and if you have the right teamwork down, this whole raid can be done in as little as about 40 minutes. If you guys, even if you fail a couple times, you can still easily do it in about 40 minutes or so, if you have the right team. So just stay patient if you guys are ever on this part of the raid. There's just a lot of things you have to remember to do, and if you forget to do even one of them, you'll have to restart. So that's my only advice really for when doing this part of the raid. Now we ended up getting an ornament to drop as well as the shader because I had not completed this part of the raid prior, at least in challenge mode, and we ended up getting the mark to drop as well. This was actually the part where I popped my Bones of Eo. So after using a couple of the cache keys as well, we got an Eisenfire token as well as a bunch of engrams. We're actually going to head to the tower now so we can decrypt all of these. My favorite reward, at least for the armor pieces, was definitely this helmet. I was able to put the ornament on it almost immediately just to make it look pretty amazing. I chose to only put one of the ornaments on as I didn't really prefer the second one all that much, but either way this helmet is looking awesome and I'm looking forward to getting the rest of the set throughout the week for this Titan as well. The armor is definitely something that I'm going after before the Age of Triumph is over. So now that we are at the tower, we're going to decrypt some of the engrams I got on my Titan. There's just so many legendary engrams that I got. So we ended up getting a bunch of rewards here. I'm not going to bore you guys with every little detail of everything that I got, so we're just going to speed through here, and you guys can pause it where you might see something that you wanted to look at. But overall, we just got a few legendary armor pieces, a couple of weapons here and there that were okay. Not really ones that I wanted to keep or that were all that amazing, besides the Chaos Dogma. So now we did get a palindrome, but that was actually left over for some Crucible that I was running earlier this morning, so that really didn't count. We got a universal remote that I got from one of the chests, and we also did get the Steel Medulla from the challenge mode. So we got two more marks to look at as well from the challenge mode that we got from the final boss after using those bones. And we also got the gauntlets and a couple more legendary engrams. Now we ran through the raid a second time on my Hunter. We finally ended up getting the challenge mode completed on the first stage, but once we got to Axis, the team started getting frustrated and we ended up getting pretty tired, and we didn't actually end up doing the challenge mode. We ended up completing it on hard, and the rewards were still pretty much just as great. The only thing that was different is that we didn't get an ornament, and I was unfortunately unable to get one of the exotic weapons from the Wrath of the Machine. So we got all of the weapons besides the Genesis Chain Adept. I'm going to be coming back through this raid a few more times throughout the week and trying to get that as well as a few more armor pieces. But overall this raid was still pretty successful on both the characters, and we still have a bunch more rewards to look at on my Hunter. So on my Hunter the rewards were actually just as great. We ended up getting two sets of gauntlets from these chests, the legendary ones and the ones without the ornament. Now I'm trying to get the set of gear on my Hunter as well because I really like the way that the ornaments look on this raid gear as well. It's some of my favorite raid gear. The Vault of Glass gear is pretty cool as well, but this one is definitely my favorite. Now I ended up getting a bunch more engrams from this portion of the raid as well. A couple of more chests were opened up, and just about every single one gave me either a legendary engram or a sublime engram. Now when completing the challenge mode as well, we got a bunch more rewards on my Hunter. so much gear and just so many engrams as well. I know I've said that a lot, but I just kept on getting so many freaking engrams. Now, I'm surprised to see a Patience and Time drop, as well as a couple more exotic pieces of gear that we're going to get to once I get to my Postmaster. So Axis was pretty simple and easy to kill. Like I said before, it just takes a lot of patience, and your team really has to be on point, otherwise you're going to just have to restart over and over, and it can get a little bit annoying. Now, once you finish, you're going to have a bunch of rewards waiting for you. There's 3 chests sitting here, a bunch of legendaries were dropped, and I even got another exotic as well. So we're going to head to the Postmaster, open up the final set of engrams and everything, all the rest of the loot that I finally got on my Hunter. I ended up almost getting more loot on my Hunter than I did on my Titan, which was pretty insane in the long run. Got a few more exotics we're just going to end up scrapping and going through. There wasn't really much else here that was new that I needed besides those new exotic primaries. So besides all of these legendary engrams, we ended up getting this cloak that I actually needed. I hadn't seen this thing drop from my character before, so I was pretty glad to see that I had 3 of them waiting for me in my Postmaster. I ended up scrapping down the 2 that I didn't need and keeping the 1 that was the best rolls. Now we're going to end up opening up a bunch more of these engrams as well. We ended up getting a Graviton's Forthright as well as Young Armancar's Spine. And finally, we also got the exotic primary, the Fever and Remedy. That rolls on that thing actually looks sick. I never had gotten that to drop for me either, as well as the Chaos Dogma, so I'll definitely be trying that out in the Crucible sometime throughout this week. So overall, these legendaries actually ended up giving me some decent gear and weapons. There was just nothing that really stood out to me that I wanted to keep, so unfortunately I ended up pretty much just scrapping a good majority of the stuff that I got from those engrams. Lucky enough to get another palindrome, but again, just not the rolls that I was looking for. But overall, I was still pretty happy with these rewards. I almost never get palindromes to drop, and there was just a bunch of gear that I never really get either, so I was pretty glad to see that. Here's a final look at the last reward that I got, the Fever and Remedy Adept. This thing actually looks pretty crazy, and I'm going to be using this thing in the Crucible over the next few days, just testing that out, see how it compares to maybe the A's Luna and the Fatebringer. But other than that, guys, those are all of the rewards that I received from the Wrath of the Machine raid today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Be sure to let me know what you guys got in the comments, what your favorite reward was from running Wrath of the Machine. And I'll see you guys in the next Destiny video. Peace.